AllBall TV.
They scared, but I'm not.
They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.
Yeah. We'll just wait for some more people to show up before I tell you who I be. Huh? When the NYC, 7:31 East Coast time. I'm never going to give that information again. Hold on. Should I throw the hat on for Knicks Rehab? Hold on. Shit is iconic at this point, right? Shoop. Shoop. Come on, man. How dare I? There the people go. That's 8 of y'all in the building. Everybody, man, put your thumbs up. Hit the like button, as they say on these YouTube streets. Hit me up, baby. Got some things to talk about. Knicks Twitter is saying Tom Thibodeau was fired. Poof, be gone. Shaq is telling Giannis to stay in Milwaukee. We'll see how that goes. Hold on. My guy Jay on Twitter just responded to me. Oh, they're having a debate. Somebody, what's this guy's name? Tony the Dome. I see him get a lot of traction on Twitter. Let's get it, though. I won't be surprised if Tibbs is out. Let's see. They're having an argument or a debate. He posted a question. Is Machiavelli, Battle for 1996, Machiavelli versus It Was Written, which one ranks all-time higher? He talked the Message and Against All Odds. Yeah, that was Pac's year. He went so bananas, he got himself killed. Everyone knows I'm a big Super Tupac fan, man. It's the only person I ever probably stand in my life, and I was 12. That's when I realized, oh, this celebrity shit is dumb. Oh, the beautiful, the lovely, the magnificent, Darlene the Queen. Oh, I didn't put your comments up. James, what's going on? What's good, fam? Fam. You've been saying family for a minute. And the young Buckaroos think that they made that up. It's 27 of y'all, well, 18 on the AllBall channel, 3 on the Fabian PerspecTV channel, 6 on Twitter. Let's get these likes up. Let's share this stuff. It's Knicks Rehab, man. Let's get into it. Yo! I can't replace Flea doing it, Tory B. And I just noticed I don't have a saying. The beautiful, the lovely Tory B. Great speaking to Tory B yesterday. Sandman. That was you right now that retweeted the thing, right? About Thibodeau striking the fan base. Let me pull that up, man. Nobody's scared. Flea be crying. Flea might start shedding a tear. Flea might shed how you say that? A drill hooper tear for Tom Thibodeau. You know he's listening on the low. What is Fabian gonna say? I talk behind your back. Think that's my guy. That's you, right, Sam, man? Don't mean to put your business out there too late because you revealed who you were. I don't see it. Well, let's get to the original. JD Sports Talk. I think he's on, what's he from? Knicks Fan TV. He's from there? Yeah, because I see the TV thing. They say people in the spaces are saying it's a done deal. Tibbs is gone. That's what it feels like. Something happened in the Pacers series. And of course, appreciate Sandman shouting us out on Twitter. I don't see it splitting the fan base at all. Look at Hot Hand Theory, AllBall Fabian, AllBall TV, and Knicks verse. We said it many times why Tom Thibodeau should not be brought back. Listen, man. I agree, Tory. We need tweaks. We need tweaks. Speed Demon. I hope you're not driving right now, my brother. Rodolfo, one of the greatest names of all time. I totally agree, Tori B. That's what the deal is. I think the Giannis thing is obviously, we talked about it yesterday, but there were so many things that kind of went transpired, as the grown folks say. There's enough of y'all in the building. I could do the little drippity drop. The computer try to like ruin my rhythm right there, man. I don't appreciate that. Y'all know what this is.
Knicks Rehab.
Los Knicks. LB So Wavy in the building. You had a great point yesterday. Remind me to tell you later what you say. Oh, about Giannis. Let's get to that. Shout out to Zip. Let's get to that, good folks. I seen some things on the internets. Oh, yeah, right. First of all, the first thing I saw posted today was Giannis and the Raptors have reportedly have had mutual interest. And of course, that's interesting to me because, of course, Giannis, I think Giannis, he knows his brand is built on Mr. Competitor. He's the one that said, I don't have to jump from team to team. He was kind of bragging about winning without a super team before. He did that. You did that, Big G. So I think going to Toronto makes sense for him, and just, or at least using the Toronto Raptors as trade bait and leverage against for any team that Milwaukee gets to trade with or trading against, or the preference for Milwaukee. I think you have to do that first. Establish a market, as they say, as the adults say. And why not? Giannis Antetokounmpo. Why wouldn't you want to establish something like that? I still think it's far-fetched for him to come to New York. Then we see a lot of stuff with Giannis and Knicks. Giannis and Knicks on Twitter. Look, they have New York Knicks. Look at the trade offers they have, though. This is us just going crazy. Nah, we're not getting Giannis, Darlene. We're just being a bunch of bochincheros right now. New York would receive Giannis. Milwaukee would receive Cat, Tyler Kolek, Washington's 2026 first-round pick, and 2 first-round pick swaps. So now we drop 2 roster spots and get nothing in return. So remember, you just traded away, because the whole thing is based off of losing iHeart, right? So because you lost iHeart, you were willing to trade initially iHeart, Randall, and Mitchell Robinson. Then Minnesota rejected it. So you came back and said, you know what? Here, take Randall and Dante. So you lost 3 roster spots, got Mikal Bridges, and then you got Mikal Bridges and got Cat, while losing Randall, Dante, and iHeart, who were all key members of last year's team. So you lost 1 guy. You got 2, but you lost 1 main rotation dude. Then if you make this trade, and Kolek is not in the rotation, but you have to replace him with somebody, and then you lose a 2026 first-round pick, protected first-round pick from Washington, 2 first-round pick swaps. I mean, it sounds decent, actually. The more I'm yapping out loud, doesn't sound that bad. But everybody's going to be more enticing. Pressures will probably go to Philly. Philly's the team I'm most scared of. Because no matter what we offer, Philly could offer anything. Look how much talent they have. We talked about it briefly yesterday. AllBall, Flea, and myself. They could trade Paul George with the draft pick. They could trade Embiid with the draft pick. You could offer the draft pick with either Quinton Grimes, the rookie kid from last year, who's really good. King's Speech was going on. So there's a lot in terms of just trading. Philly is obviously someone that could make an offer that's great. San Antonio, and of course, it's, to me, the two teams that offer the most is Philly and Oklahoma City. OKC, even being a championship team, they're doing some Lakers shit. They're doing some early 80s Lakers shit where you have a championship team and then you still have a draft pick to get James Worthy. I don't know how they finagled that. Everything seems set up, by the way. I don't believe nobody. I don't believe no damn David Stern. But I don't even know who the commissioner was before David Stern, but you know, it's entertainment, man. You don't leave Los Angeles without the right team. They were a premier team in the 60s and 70s because of Karimo. But I digress. I'm yapping now. Speaking of Los Angeles, what a great segue. That should be happening on by accident, by the way. A lot of segues. Sometimes you find yourself looking for a segue, and then AllBall and Flea, they fuck up a lot of my segues. That's an inner secret. I'll be like, hey, speaking of Los Angeles, be like, yeah, man, the LA food is trash. I'm like, okay, hold on, let me segue the topic, man. But usually you build up chemistry, and then it builds up. But speaking of Los Angeles, the Drizzle himself, Shaquille O'Neal, he has something to say about Giannis moving on from Milwaukee. Being that Shaq's been on 25,000 teams. Yeah, that guy who's been swept in the first round more than anybody else that known to mankind at that size. Yeah, that guy. He got something to say to Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. If you had advice,
nobody says his name like I do, by the way. They have no sauce, no flourish, no spice. Greek food is decent, man. Antetokounmpo.
If you could bend his ear a little bit, what would you tell him as he's approaching sort of maybe a cross?
Look, see, Antetokounmpo.
Close in his career.
I would tell him they're probably throwing in his face bigger market. Doesn't matter. Social media is the market now. Giannis has made a name for himself on social media. Like, you go to LA, that's 50% of your contract goes to Texas. More pressure and more stress. Being that he's in the control of that ship, he should go upstairs and be like, I want to see all the free agents. I want all the phone numbers. I want to talk to them. He should bring people to him. When I was coming up, it was small market. You're too small. You probably need to go to a big market. I took advantage of that. But now every market is the same. Nobody cares what city you're in anymore. This ain't the 90s.
That's Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo. That's a horrible way to say Antetokounmpo. But that was Shaq. He was saying how Giannis should stay in Milwaukee. That social media is now the new media. You don't have to go to a big market, which I understand what he's saying. I definitely understand what he's saying. By the way, that was Shaq on with the good word from Goodwill from Yahoo Sports. I gotta tag them in this because I don't want to get my stuff taken down, man. I want y'all to see this in totality. Hopefully, me tagging them and adding their page, they don't get no smoke from us. But I did find it ironic that Shaq would say this. It's not like back in his day. He started off in Orlando, went to LA, but he ended up right back in Florida. He got traded to Miami. What is he talking about? He got traded to Cleveland. Played in Boston. He went to Phoenix. What is he talking about back in his day? That's number one. Number two, the Kobe Shaq dynamic was always interesting. I always make fun of Shaq, Barkley, and for making fun of Kevin Durant. You guys were team hoppers, and yeah, you might have driven the bus or whatever it is, but you still were doing what these guys are attempting to do. They might not have the leadership skills that you guys did. They might not have the competitive spirit that they did, because that's what the old school guys have over the new school guys, is a competitive spirit. But Shaq, was he wasn't as competitive as Giannis. He wasn't as competitive as Giannis. I have a theory about Giannis. Shaq, like Allen Iverson, Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, maybe LeBron. Yeah, LeBron is in that category. Kobe to a certain extent, right? Those guys versus the Patrick Ewings of the world, maybe Giannis, but definitely like a Patrick Ewing, Tim Duncan. There's certain guys that they couldn't even enjoy their celebrity, or when they stepped outside, their celebrity was so intense that they would shut shit down, and it felt almost like just the fame was a drug because everybody around you was just showing you so much love that it became intoxicating. So for someone like Shaq to be in LA, it was even that much more. And maybe he's that's what he's trying to say to Giannis, like, bro, you go to LA, it's way more distracting. Just stay in Milwaukee and do what you've been doing. Because look where it drove Shaq into a rivalry with his own teammate. They try to downplay it after they were both retired. I don't believe that shit at all whatsoever. Y'all were heated. You guys were, battling to be, 1A, 1B, whatever. Kobe ends up staying, of course, pushing Shaq out, giving him an ultimatum. He didn't. I won't say the city started to turn on him, but Kobe became a villain. He was kind of turning on to being a heel because he was promoted as the fake Michael Jordan so much that, well, the next Michael Jordan, I got to be respectful. Please don't jump on here and curse me out. But it was just already teetering. And then once the thing happened with Shaq, he kind of snitched on him. And then, of course, he caught the case. He became a villain. And then the whole LA, I won't say they turned on him. He probably gained more respect because he grinded it out. But even he asked for a trade. He gave the Lakers another ultimatum. Was like, either trade me or I don't want to be here no more. Just make us better. So those kind of personalities in LA, look at LeBron. They understand the value and the equity that they have in viewership and the attention of the game, being a superstar in basketball. Those guys, even though Kobe wasn't born here, he was with Nike. He started to become more familiar with the culture here. Yeah, he played in Philly, lived in Philly for a while. But I think all that thing plays a factor when going to a big city, a big market. There's a lot to it. I'm pretty sure, Giannis has a bunch of handlers, but it's different playing in New York. And I think Shaq is telling him, like, yo, just chill. There's no need to go to New York. Even though what I think he's wrong at is that social media could be the new media. It is the ultimate media. All right, cool. But all social media was the new York. That's why I always tell, shout out to Dime, man, Dime Dropper, because he's always like, yo, why is everybody always arguing over? I'm like, yo, bro, people on social media, I'm not going back and forth with them. I don't know those people. I do go back and forth here and there, but for the most part, I'm not taking it personal, because in New York, that's how we talk. So they took the whole melting pot of New York, and now it's on social media. It's not like, Silicon Valley said, we're going to take the New York style and put it on Twitter. Not that, but this is what you get when you have 8 million people in one city. If it's that, I think it's probably like 10, 12 million. And social media has billions of people on there. You have all these thoughts that are merging, and you have all these little fraternities of like-mindedness, and you're going to have a bunch of debates. So with that tool, Shaq is saying you don't need to be in New York, but that's an absolute lie, because there's still nothing like New York. All markets are not the same. New York is, at some points, the most winning franchise, the most valuable franchise in basketball. Knicks value 7.5. They're currently the second most highest valued franchise in the NBA, right? Right behind Golden State, right above the Lakers and the Celtics. And we're talking about the last 25 years. Who has won championship? The Warriors, the Lakers, and the Celtics. You can't tell me that a part of this 7.5 billion, Giannis wants no part of. Right? Like a part of that 7.5 billion, he wants in on that. As a matter of fact, you have a total of what? Damn near 9, let's say 8, 17, 24, $30 billion right here with the top 4 teams. I can't imagine that Giannis isn't sitting down with his team and he's like, yo, the NBA generates about, I think, $10, $12 billion a year. These teams are valued at, $30 billion. Is it possible for me to increase the value of these teams and get some equity on it? And I think he can, because there is a clause for these players to actually participate in the equity of these teams. That's the crazy part. Nobody talks about this shit. Do I have it in my notes still? Player ownership. Choosing a head coach. Players can own team. CBA links. Athletic. Let me see if I have it here. I'm sorry, I'm looking it up now. I think it was an Athletic article. Let me see. CBA Athletic. Players can now own 10% of team. The Athletic. Look, even this. So it's been 2 years since this thing came out. NBA collective bargaining agreement notes on player investment, draft, and combine changes. The NBA's new collective bargaining agreement has finally been released. So NBA players will now be able to take their small slice of skyrocketing franchise valuations that have turned NBA teams into multi-billion-dollar entities, while a player still cannot have a direct ownership stake in an NBA team or any company that owns a stake in the team. The National Basketball Association can now invest in an investment fund approved by the NBA to buy a passive minority share in an NBA team. That investment may not be more than 5% of the money raised for that fund. So while a player still cannot have a direct ownership stake, the National Basketball Players Association can now invest in an investment fund. Okay, as of right now, however, this process is still in the early stages. The union, I thought there was another one with 10%. The player cannot buy more than a 4% stake. Also, you have the WNBA teams. NBA players may also own less than 1% of any publicly traded securities in a company that directly or indirectly owns an NBA team, down from 5% in the CBA in the 2017 CBA. So they're limiting this stuff now. But this has always been interesting to me, this 5% deal. The investment may not be more than 5% of the money raised. So right now, this process is still in the early stages. Arctos, the league and the union are still working to ensure the process, because this was all a counter to like the Saudi money coming in from Saudi Arabia. They don't want the Saudis to come in and take over the NBA teams, and which is, I don't know if it's gonna be a mistake, but we've seen rumors of Rich Paul and LeBron trying to make their own team. Rich Paul and LeBron create league. Maverick Carter advising $5 billion effort to start new basketball league. All right. Maverick Carter, LeBron James' business manager, has been enlisted as an advisor by a group of investors seeking to raise $5 billion to form an international basketball league that will serve as a rival to the NBA. That group, which includes private equity funds, is looking to form a league consisting of 6 men's teams and 6 women's teams. Though Carter, who has served as a producer on more than one of James' TV and movie projects, is closely tied to the Los Angeles Lakers star, The sources told ESPN that James is not involved in the efforts with this new league. And we don't believe none of that shit. Bloomberg reported that the investment group might try to tap private equity and sovereign wealth funds to raise the $5 billion it is seeking. Currently, private equity funds are limited to a 20% stake in NBA teams. Look how much money. Didn't Ronaldo go to the Saudi Arabia and Mbappe? Let me see. Mbappe, Saudi, right? Oh, he rejected it. Oh, he rejected the offer. So there's a lot of money going around, and I think they're trying to really, they're thinking about all this because Adam Silver specifically talked about the Saudi money. Adam Silver on Saudi, right? Adam Silver said that no Saudi-backed fund has tried to invest in an NBA team. We allow funds to invest in teams, but not control teams, not to have influence over teams. So to own an NBA team, there has to be an individual with a certain percent of the team to control it. That's for now. That's for now. It's a two-edged sword. When the Saudis invest in sports, it gets outsized attention. Now, I don't want to complain about that because we want to get outsized attention. On the other hand, somebody could go down the list there. There are investors in some of our largest American corporations. Some of the most well-known brands have investments from them. And I also think it's a two-edged sword. I hear the comments in sports washing. On the other hand, you're talking about it. Others are talking about it. In the same way the World Cup, the Soccer World Cup brought enormous attention to Qatar. I think people learn about these countries, learn about what's happening in the world in ways they otherwise wouldn't. So I think the media does its job. But now, talking specifically about the NBA, we're such a global sport. I think people are a little too dismissive these days about the benefits that come from the commonality around sports. Yeah. So now you think, hey, what the hell I got to do with Giannis? Listen, Vegas is up for grabs. Having another league involved to compete. These players, remember, LeBron's about to retire. There was rumored to be his last season. That's a couple of rumblings about that. If that's the case, he's gonna have to start to look for his next endeavor. That's part of the reason why you go to the Lakers, because it's the most visible franchise that we have. And with the Knicks, again, going back to Shaq's point, to say that every market is the same is impossible. New York City media is different. It's just different. Like, we've seen what happened with Brunson. Brunson, yes, was the underdog story, but he comes here and now he's an MVP candidate. Yeah, he has his right team, the right family around him. But why wouldn't Giannis see that and want to go join that? Like, yo, how can I get down with the CAA, man? How can I get down with this? Everything you talk about, everything being corporate and everything being related to each other and just having all these groups and factions in terms of the money and all that. I think it would behoove Giannis Antetokounmpo to come join us, man. Come join Death Row. Come get with Death Row Records. You kidding me? I have another point. I want to make another point about that. Right. Also, if he's going to come to New York, don't do it the mellow way. I see you in the comments, Flea. I'm going to get to a different point now. Don't do it the mellow way. Come join us the same way Brunson did. Come join us the same way Josh Hart did on a good trade, not a bad trade, a good one. Amari Stoudemire, come sign over to Death Row, man. We would rather see Giannis with Cat and OG and a couple of other pieces instead of just trading Cat and rebuilding all over again. Giannis would have been a great addition to this. That's the last thing I'm gonna say about that. The way you come to New York is if you come here. I know King Speech. I know it got to be a trade, but I'm talking about when you trade yourself in that way and you say, you know what, I'm gonna gut the whole foundation of this team. It becomes more pressurized, and you got out of Milwaukee to win. So why would you want to go to another place and make it less easier to compete? It makes no sense. Brunson is here, yeah, but we saw his flaws exposed these playoffs. Same thing with Karl Anthony Towns. And you have to have defensive guys in front of Giannis so he can do his job. Because we're gonna get on Cat, but trust me, Flea will start to dissect Giannis if he's here watching him night to night and going, "Oh, that's what Fabian's talking about. Oh, Giannis be on skates. Oh, he's just a weak side Marcus Camby." Correct. That's all. I have some notes here. I'm sorry, guys. The Knicks for the most valuable fan. New York Knicks fan. Quota. Right. Why wouldn't Giannis want to come here either? 2. Why wouldn't Giannis want to come here if you see a bunch of Karl Anthony Towns jerseys in Orlando, Miami, Charlotte, Boston, Indiana, Philly? They had to put a quota on Knicks ticket sales in Indiana these playoffs because they were scared to death that we were going to come in there and invade. You think Giannis doesn't want to see that? Shaq, shut the hell up. Nobody cares about your bummage. Most of your advice is straight garbage. Just because you use social media like a chirping whore does not mean Giannis has to do that. The Greeky Freaky has his own thing to do, man. Leave us the hell alone. Anyway, moving right along. Any news on the Knicks yet? Knicks Twitter's making it seem like it's something rambunctious about to happen. I don't see anything yet, guys. Sean McCoy. Let's put it in Knicks real quick. If you guys see anything that pops up, let me know. Because I'm online with you. Latest, Knicks. LaGarden in Spanish. Well, that sounds dope. Yeah, I don't see anything yet, guys. I don't see nothing yet. Here, let's see something else. Now, let's stick with the Knicks still. There's so much talk of the Cat trade. Everyone knows I didn't like it, right? And we lost our identity, this, that, and the third, and we went a different route. Obviously, we were proven to be, we were exposed a lot later than I thought we would. Or Tibbs was exposed a lot later than I thought he would. Like I gotta admit that. And you don't do that by accident. He went 6 games in every round, right? So, he was little by little, he was getting exposed. But we were so focused on the Cat trade, Iheart leaving, and the one thing that we kind of always talk about but gloss over, the worst move that Leon Rose has made by far is trading Quinton Grimes. This is by far the worst move that he's made. At the time I understood it, bear with me now, for I forgot his name, Alec Burks, and one of them Bogdanoviches. There's like 30 of them in the league. I was Bogey. That's what I knew, just to call him Bogey. How about Obi? I don't think Obi was a mistake. I don't think he was a mistake. What was Tibbs going to do with him? He's playing 20 minutes with the Pacers and he's running up and down. He's playing an up and down style as an athletic, basketball player. That's nothing. But at the time, Quinton Grimes was somebody that we coveted. Quinton Grimes, the only reason why I remember this is because when Quinton Grimes started to start some games for us, he was starting to catch fire. And I'm like, yo, he's about to hit 5 threes tonight. And he hit like 5 or 6 threes against the Toronto Raptors his first season he started for us. And I did want to talk about, where's my guy at? This it? See, this is him. This is JJ Redick. Quinton Grimes talking about JJ Redick.
Highly of you. I want to start with our boy who's in LA right now, just because I just saw him last week. Was telling you he speaks so highly of you. This is JJ. Obviously, if the people listening at home aren't sure, he speaks so highly of you. You spent a lot of time with him working out when you were sort of in a different point in your career. I want to kind of. I don't know if we ever really talked about, if he's ever really talked about that experience publicly too much, but it's a thing that, we all talked about. I was wondering if you could sort of share with the audience some of that, what that experience was like.
Yeah, no, it was great. I think it was the summer after my second year. I knew going into that third year, I was expecting to have a bigger going to the year with a bigger role and stuff like that. So I literally DM'd him and I was like, yo, like, I want to get some work in with you like this summer. Let me know anytime that's available for you. Like, I'll make it work and I'll come out there. And then he hit me like, right away. It was like, yo, like, I'm so down to work with you. And then we set up a time. He had me come out to what's the spot? The Hamptons. Yeah, the Hamptons out there. Yeah. And he let me stay in his guest house. Well, then we worked out for 2 days. And like the work that he does is just like unreal, just knowing like how good of a shooter he is. Like he knew like right away, like some of the little things with like my footwork. If I had like an injury, he was like, did you hurt your knee? I was like, yeah, like, how the hell you know that? Like he was like, I could tell like coming down on the pin down and stuff like that. So working out with him, which is great. And I worked out with him a couple times in Brooklyn before the season for my third year. And
shout out to Brooklyn Academy.
He's just like a wizard of the game. Like he just knows the ins and out of it, how to come off certain screens. Like it was amazing for sure.
I want to start.
That's him shooting jump shots with him. Like that was dope to hear. Flea, can you tell if somebody had a knee injury by the way they run on a pin down? Isn't it kind of obvious if your knee hurts? Yo, some shit is kind of dumb, man. I'm sorry. But you guys know I love JJ Redick's podcast. And I can't find the footage where he was talking about him. Where JJ Redick was talking about Quinton Grimes, but he said he liked his work ethic. Quincy. Well, he liked his work ethic. That wasn't it. He said he liked Quinton Grimes' work ethic, and he saw how he was just willing to work and I guess reach out to him. But you saw even after that workout with JJ Redick, he changed his jump shot. It got lightning quick. I'm like, oh shit. But then he kept missing. So I'm like, what was the point of that? But defensively, he was still really good. We referred to it the other day with how he guarded Jimmy Butler. But let's not forget, like when Scotty Barnes was talking shit to him, that was that Toronto game I'm talking about, if I'm not mistaken. Where he hit like five or six 3-pointers. Scotty Barnes was saying, "You're not him." I'm like, who the hell are you? I was defending my guy, because if he was a bum, I'd been like, yeah, you're not him. Scotty's right. But Scotty's the top 5 pick, top 3 pick, whatever the hell he is. You not him. You still not him. You still missing the playoffs. Quinton Grimes, ever since then, since he left the Knicks, has done nothing but, I can't say nothing but ascend, because on Detroit, they messed up too, right? The Dallas Mavericks, they messed up big time. But we saw something over there in Dallas, especially now you leave JJ Redick and you go to Dallas and you're working with Luka and Kyrie. Shit. Then you trade him to the 76ers, and then he just broke out. Like he really broke out last year. And just imagine if we had that guy instead of Deuce McBride. Yeah, it's hindsight's 2020, but it was Deuce, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and Quinton Grimes that were in that rigmarole. They were at practice. I'm of the opinion, if we're at practice, Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo are gonna get some say-so because Brunson's their boy, right? So we know Josh and Dante are gonna be cool with whatever. The team's gonna be cool with them with whatever. But if it came down between Deuce and Grimes, I don't know if Quinton Grimes was particularly cool with everybody. But if you're watching, like, Deuce is a pretty athletic dude. He played football at West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a pretty tough dude. And he's defensive as well. But it wasn't like it was clear cut. Quinton Grimes became the squeaky wheel, and he started chirping back at Tibbs. But for me, this is one of the biggest failure for Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose in terms of trading someone. Because if you're Tibbs, your whole army style filtering of players failed right there. Just because they're chirping about you doesn't mean that they don't want to play basketball. This guy clearly wanted to play basketball, and he needed more minutes. Maybe getting rid of Deuce McBride would have been the thing to do it back then. And we loved Deuce. We loved the kids back then. It was Obi, Deuce McBride, Quinton Grimes, even Jericho Sims in the summer league. Like, those were the guys I would watch because they were so athletic and just the way they would contribute. They were fun to watch. I think we won the summer league championship with them. But I think that was the biggest failure in during Leon Rose's tenure, man, especially with this thing that's going on. And he is, by the way, a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. Quinton Grimes contract. $4 years, $11 million. Yep, look at his contract. Restricted free agent. About to be 25 years old. That's tough. They usually have the projection thing at the bottom. Well, man, how much does Grimes make? I mean, Deuce McBride. Oh, it doesn't pop up. Did I spell Deuce right? Or probably Miles, right? Miles McBride. Okay, there it goes. Damn. Probably because he signed that extension around the same thing, right? $4 million. So he would have just started making $4 million a year. So Deuce has 2 more years left. And I'm not sure who's necessarily better defensively, but I think at this point we all know, Quinton Grimes is better offensively. Like, that's a fact. We ain't no running from that. And he's athletic, he's competitive, and it's tough because Deuce and him are both that. I can see as raw players in practice where they don't get too much playing time and they got to compete for that. I can see why, it was a tough decision. Could we honestly see Deuce scoring 20 points per game if he left here? I don't know. But that's where Quinton Grimes is headed. And it may look like he's headed to have another opportunity. I guess this is just the contract situation because Dallas is not in the mix here. But we can see, Quinton Grimes easily averaging 20 points per game. What do you guys think in the comments? I see Flea's in here being condescending as usual. He said, what's the worst move? Yeah, I did ask what's the worst. Flea taking a player to task. What? Shocker. Deuce is everything he wanted Q Dot to be. Right. I think that's a good way to put it, man. Flea, I know you're talking about my walk, you bastard. Deuce is everything we wanted Q Dot to be. He's still, I don't know if it's inconsistent, but why didn't he play? Like, if Quinton Grimes had any one of those games with us, Tibbs would have been fired at halftime. You guys have anybody else who you have in mind? Pistons got a bum ass Tim Hardaway Jr. for Grimes. Quickly as well. What do you mean? Are you saying quickly is a bad deal? I get in the mud every now and deuce and fall under pressure in the post like Grimes did. You think so? I don't think Grimes had enough chances. Like, he got hurt when he went against Miami. That was his last playoffs with us, right? Because he got traded last year. Miami was 2 seasons ago. And Quinton Grimes since then, Deuce since then, Deuce's breakout was last year. Deuce's breakout was when Grimes left, they traded him, and then Deuce broke out against Philadelphia, ironically, where Quinton Grimes is now, before he signed there. That was that game. Me and Flea always talk about it, where Randall's having a bad game, Brunson's having a bad game, and Deuce went off. He went crazy. That's when Hartenstein hit like 20,000 jump hooks in a row on Embiid. Mad funny. Deuce on a lovely deal. I still would rather be on. We know we would all rather be on a Quinton Grimes deal right now. I think if that's not a consensus, I don't know what is. Q Dot said the ball was heavy in New York. That sounds like loser talk. That sounds like loser talk. I agree, Fabian. Grimes definitely could average 20 points per game. Yeah, he does. Q Dot needs to be featured. And that's the thing. What I'm saying, King Speech, you still would have been featured more had you gotten rid of Deuce instead of Quinton Grimes. You know what I'm saying? Know what I mean? Jilly. Fan. Oh, yeah. This is why they hate us, I guess, because we overanalyze everything. What else are we going to do? We want to talk about the Knicks all day. That's what we want to do. We want to talk about basketball all day. That's what we want to do. And Boomer Esiason, I see you, man. I like this rant. I like this rant, Boomer.
Most hated fan base in any major sport in this country.
Right now, I think at this very moment, yes.
No, we've overtaken the Eagle fan base. We have. The Eagle fan base was the most hated. And now I think the Knicks fan base is more hated than any other fan base in America. And I have never seen such great joy and vitriol just actually thrown our way as opposed to the players' way. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Everybody in the NBA universe was so happy the Knicks had lost. So we as a fan base basically accomplished something. So we are officially, in my eyes at least, the most hated fan base in all of professional sports. I can't even think of another one that is remotely close other than the Eagles.
I didn't know that the Eagles fan base was hated like that. I just know you don't go to. I would never go to Philadelphia to watch a game, not with nothing on. Yeah, Michael James. He's a restricted free agent this summer. You gotta at least make him an offer. You have to. I don't see how you don't. And, some team is. We are not the most hated fan base, but he's right. Everyone was just trying to make fun of us, and you saw how they went crazy on Barkley and Shaq, and they hate us. They hate us. But what I don't like is, I like that message from Boomer, but he's kind of like not complaining. I've seen people today, they disappointed the ish out of me, man. My son is around. I can't curse. They just disappointed me. Let me see, earlier in the day today, right? Just the way they talk about Cat, because we call him Zesty. Yo, that's not right. That's not fair. Why are you calling him that? What did he do? Shut up. It's funny. Unless he's really that, then it's no longer funny, and I ain't got nothing to say. But as Flea always says, he got that thing waiting for him over there. After the game, before the game, right? So people complaining about that, getting sensitive about that. What else were they getting sensitive about, man? Oh, this right here. Oh, dear Lord. This. Everyone And AllBall might have been complaining too. Listen, I get Reggie Miller is a Pacers legend, but the fact he's in the middle of this celebration after broadcasting the series is wildly unprofessional. Where the hell are you from, bro? How do you think you would fare on the court? He works for St. John's? Is that what Storm the Paint is? JJ Athletics or whatever. Well, it is St. John's. I'm not bugging. Somebody bump into him. He'll probably kick my ass. But that's neither here nor there. Why do you guys sound like such a pansy? Oh, look who it is. The one thing I hate is sensitive ass fans, man. I love it. Reggie's trolling us good. We should have beat them in front of him in his hometown. It's competition. Live for it or don't play. King Speech. What do you mean it's true? What is true? He was overstepping what? He's a villain. He's broadcasting the game, cosplaying Vince McMahon against the New York Knicks. It was amazing. He goes on IG Live in Central Park when he's in New York to see if anyone recognizes him. He's out of his mind for doing that. I don't know why he would do that. Maybe it's a safe space for him. I don't see any security around him. But my point is, I don't mind it. It will make it even sweeter if TNT hired and did all that. You get this guy doing a choke symbol. How much better would it be? Remember Josh Hart grabbed the mic from him during the game? Hey, Reggie, they talking to you. They saying you. It was funny. That's why Reggie said, yo, y'all a bunch of front runners, man. Really, we're not. Because he decided to post something after the series. Again, he's trolling because that's how he made his career. And that's really my problem with Reggie Miller. He's so boring and sounds like he has marbles in his mouth. But if he played more of a villain role on the mic, it'll be dope. Like JR, Jim Ross is the greatest announcer of any sport, anything ever. And then you got Jerry Lawler, and they both go back and forth with the villain and good cop, bad cop. It was amazing. You want it to be natural, but where's the banter? Charles Barkley couldn't really do it. We've heard him during games. It's not all that. Maybe he doesn't care for it, but we need that. Like, people complain about Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke all day. I don't like Doris Burke. I never have, but I don't mind Richard Jefferson. But he's a little quirky. We need someone to like sun him on camera, and he has to be willing to accept that role. I know Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson didn't do all that, but there was still a little bit of a banter there. Like, it felt like a show. These guys don't know what a show is, man. They think, and look, they shot three 3-pointers from that same exact spot for the last 3 seasons. It's been 35 years since the Knicks won. Like, that is boring. It's uneventful, and I can tell that ESPN doesn't care, because that's not where they're gonna get a soundbite from. They hire these people, Kendrick Perkins, Stephen A. Smith, Jay Williams now, who played basketball and was really good, was professional, had a chance to be a superstar. He's now just a soundbite. That's what Disney does. They're not hiring you for your intellect to speak on ESPN shows. They just let you ramble like I am right now during games, because they really don't care. They know people are on their phones. I got 2 more topics, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's move along. Let's get to our boy Gilbert Arenas on the Gil's Arena show. Let me change my background, man. It's not all Knicks. Let's change this up real quick. Oh, you know what? Big Queens. Big Queens in the building. Huh? Time to take the glasses off. Gilbert Arenas. All he does is expose himself. Here he goes, responding to the death of defense in the NBA. I really want to play. Hold on. I should play a thing with Cat that he said because it's hilarious. I might do it later. That's something y'all should be offended about. You keep talking about us calling Cat zesty. What he says about Cat is crazy. Anyway, this is Gilbert Arenas about Paul George reacting to Paul George's comment about defense.
Saying the days of defensive stoppers are pretty much gone. Has the offense evolved that much?
No, I think he's saying the days of his defensive stopping is gone. Not everybody else's.
Don't bring us all into
there's an Amen Thompson and an Asar Thompson out there locking shit up, still playing defense like they want to. If you don't want to play defense, bro, just say it. Shit. What you mean? Everybody got game. Everybody been had game. What you mean? Everybody. Yeah, but stop nobody. Nobody could fucking stop Gilbert. Yeah. Nobody could fucking stop Brandon. Nobody can stop.
We've showed clips of Wemby obviously before he was out for the season, but guys reconsidering even going to the cup when he's around.
Okay, when you're talking about defensive stoppers, that means like Tony Allen, right? He was a great defender, but his team wasn't necessarily great at defending as a team, right? He's in a different category because now if he was, we're talking about, Tony Allen on Memphis and stuff, for the most part, Mark was a great defensive player because he knew how to, close things up. But for the most part as a team, you couldn't say those guys was a bunch of stoppers like the San Antonio, type of team or Detroit Pistons type of team. So as an individual, he knew where to be. Like, your job is to make it difficult on a skilled guy. The fact that, you're talking about, Brunson, Shea, a Luka, a KD.
What? Okay, so what about them? Because he's saying that Tony Allen will have to play on the Memphis Grizzlies, and he had a nice team, but there's no Detroit Pistons, there's no San Antonio Spurs. I guess he's talking about the Kawhi and Danny Green days, right? And of course, and you got Tim Duncan as an anchor. Ginobili's a pest. Tony Parker didn't play no damn defense. And we agree so far. I agree with all this, but he's not saying what he should be saying because then he would have to backtrack on everything he's been saying about this era. This is why I find all this funny.
Staff, right? Yeah, you yourself, for the most part, will be taking advantage of 9 out of 10 matches, and it's principle at this point, making sure you're doing your part as a defender, and I think that's where team defense, defensive player, his part. They're helping, then his defense becomes another. Like there's a lot of like there's a reason they. Like with all the foul baiting, the flopping, these things that I can get you to bait, right? It's not like defensive rules have changed. Bro. So your defense is at a disadvantage because it's still defensive principles from 1950 something.
This goes back to my point.
I just said this is the peak of.
It goes back to my point of the focus on offensive moves, how everybody trains offensive, right? If I'm looking at film and looking at your tendencies all the time, by the time I play you, I should know your tendencies. No, you have to be an exceptional player for me to know your tendencies and you still counter them. It's only a certain amount of people can do that. So if you automatically Xing that out on who you going against.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about now. But this is what I'm saying. They never changed the rules. This is 1950. No. You got less defensive players today because they changed the rules and made it harder for you to play defense. Bottom line. Gilbert Arenas, it would have been harder for you to play your game in the 80s and 90s, and you don't want to say it because you think you're slick. You think you're slick. You think the rules haven't changed. The hand checking is nothing. I could have played with zone and man-to-man back then. Nobody would have bothered me. And it's unfortunate because you do have a lot of great defensive players in this era, and you see how OKC stacked up with a bunch of perimeter players that are, playing perimeter players that can go behind SGA, help him basically rest to score and dominate on the offensive end. SGA is I think he's a decent defender. People are saying he's overrated defensively, and I don't see that. I think he does what they want him to do, just as an athlete, stepping in front of his defender, the way he slides. He's in pretty good position, but he almost doesn't have to be. He's looking for like a transition play at all times, and we can't say like Indiana's not a great defense, right? But Carlisle and Indiana put up a different sort of look with those kind of players, strong guards, perimeter guys, to prevent Brunson from crossing half court, playing 94 feet, which is still embarrassing, by the way, that any team can play 94 feet against us on back-to-back years. We haven't resolved that, so they're getting exposed for it. Bringing up, Lou Dort and these guys. I mean, Toumani Camara, if y'all haven't seen him, I want to put some highlights up, but I don't want him to take it down. Like, he looks crazy. He looks amazing. We know about OG. We talk about him ad nauseum. We know that's my favorite Knicks player right now. Mitchell Robinson looks insane. He looks insane. If you start tweaking some of these rules, now all of a sudden OG and Mitchell Robinson's impact, they go crazy, right? And that's the one thing about this conversation I didn't like, was that you made it seem like it's the same and you can just talk to them. No, Gilbert Arenas didn't play defense, and if he played in this era, he'd be even worse defensively. He probably score way more, but he'd be even worse defensively. He's not chasing anybody. There's a play, I wonder if I could find it, where Draymond, when they're playing Denver, and I think Draymond, there's an inbound pass, and they kick it to somebody in the right wing, and Draymond is already telling his teammate, yo, we're going to switch when Joker passes the ball right back out. And they switch right away, and he's already ready for Joker before he can get the ball back. That kind of conversation has to take place all the time, and I don't think there's any era where 30 NBA teams can have that sort of communication on the court. In the 1980s, they were sniffing before anything else and drinking before anything else. There's no way they would have been paying attention to your teammate telling you where to go at that point. There's no era that would have been able to do this. My point is, it's so difficult to have to call the adjustments out in real time, because if it's like football again, you giving me no choice but to keep my hands to myself, wrap behind my back to play defense. And on top of that, I have to yell over this crowd to my teammates when to switch, when they have a bad matchup on them. Yo, they're going to run this play, so you should be on the other side of the court on this guy, because they're going to call another switch or another screen, and they're going to want you on this man. Like, it's way more difficult just to communicate, I think, because number one, you have to do way more of it. And number two, there's no way in the era of the most skilled players of all time, which is the other thing, everybody's so super skilled, but they don't play defense, which has always been my Kyrie point. Flee. Anytime anyone brings up skills, they never bring up defense. So how are you so skilled and you don't know how to play defense? Makes no sense. So you took away one side of the court, like 25 to 30% of people being able to play defense. You took that away from them. That is a skill. So to tell me that these guys are the most skilled of all time now is meaningless, because they're doing it not only, let's say you have more skilled players on the court at one time, right? But you're doing it against less skilled defenders, and they're not even allowed to play defense on you as much. So when are you displaying this extreme level of skill? It's a lot more simple to display the skill level that has always been around, and you're allowed to travel. So that's my rant about that. I disagree with that, Tendrell. I think there have always been two-way players, and I think a lot of players have been overrated. Overrated. They don't want to say it. Two-way players started recently. I don't agree with that. I think two-way players. I don't think Kiki Vandeweghe was a two-way player. He didn't play defense. There's a lot of guys that didn't play defense. Larry Bird was decent. He was smart, but he also had an all-NBA caliber starting lineup. Like, how would Larry Bird fare if he's the only one that has a defender on his team? If he was like was it Adrian Dantley in Dallas, or he's just by himself? That would have been. What if he was in Jordan's position in Chicago and you trade him for Michael Jordan and Jordan's in Boston? They're going bananas. They would have been the best defensive team of all time in Boston. He would have been too crazy. And then Larry Bird, what does he do over there? Like, the two-way player thing to me is kind of been overlooked. Like, everybody didn't play defense. Magic Johnson was not a great defender. Hate to break it to y'all. He was not a great defender. 6'9" and everything, but he was not a great defender. You see him, he's getting his ass bust. I see a lot of people cracking him. Led the league in steals one year, but so did Allen Iverson, right? So I think the rule changes and the focus on offense, it changed all that. But for him to say, he just contradicted himself, because Gil is stuck on, this is the most skilled era of all time. And he doesn't want to backtrack, because he would have to admit that all those rules factor into these players' success compared to years past. That's my TED Talk on Gilbert Arenas' defensive nonsense. I did mention our guy, both of our guys. Just mention AI and Allen Iverson. Speaking of which, we kind of touched on the AI Iverson comparing Iverson to Brunson thing yesterday, but I'll get into why exactly I wanted to bring that up. And that's Dante was his guy, so him starting is kind of not surprising. Should we build around it to get
literally
is?
No. I know that's no. I know that's what it is, but I'm saying literally when they bring up the starting five, his shit say shooting guard, and like Flea say, we get Eric Snow, a tough defender that can bring the ball up, a la Lonzo Ball. I'm just asking. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I just want to hear y'all opinion on that.
I was rewatching that because we gotta do edits and stuff, and that was AllBall from AllBall TV, by the way, during an episode of Knicks Rehab, and him AllBall asking about Jalen Brunson. Should we build around him like he's Allen Iverson, or should we build around Cat? And if we do that, do we have to move Jalen Brunson officially to the 2 guard? And my reply was, in this era, for some reason, they're reluctant to call them 2 guards. I don't know if that has to do with money. I don't know what it has to do with, but a lot of guys have to share duties. Like I always say, last year, we were a better team. We had more depth, and primarily because if Jalen Brunson is a 2 guard, Dante brings the ball up sometimes. Josh Hart brings the ball up sometimes. Randall could bring the ball up sometimes. So now you're sharing, bringing up the court duties, bringing up the ball, crossing the ball, or crossing the half court with the rock in your hands. You're sharing that responsibility. You're also sharing the engineering of the offense with a Randall and really primarily with iHeart 30-40% of the time, right? We've talked about his play ad nauseum. I wanted Cat to do more of that this year, and because of that, I still don't know why you can't call Brunson a 2 guard, but there's an issue with that. Steph Curry is not called a 2 guard; he's a point guard. It's better for the league and for all of us. It's an easier conversation. It's an easier debate to crack if you're comparing Steph to Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard of all time. It's a lot that's packed in with that. But he's really a 2 guard, and I think they're reluctant for whatever reason because he's a smaller player. But it made me think that the point guard that was moved to a 2 guard in his heyday was Allen Iverson. And I always say he's the most influential player since Michael Jordan, and he can't supersede Jordan because he's trying to be like Michael Jordan. He was trying to be, you know, a real two guard. And everyone points to culture, or the braids, the tattoos, or whatever, the style, the attitude, and they're saying, oh, that's what Iverson was influential with. I'm like, no. These guys are cloaked two guards: the Baron Davis, Gilbert Arenas, Steve Francis, Steph Curry. D Wade started as a point guard and got moved to the two, but they made it official, right? He was still strong enough to do all that, but I digress. Russell Westbrook is really a point guard a two guard masquerading as a two. He played the two in UCLA. Kyrie Irving, he's not a point guard, right? That's where his pushback comes from. That's what I mentioned. Kyrie again. These Kyrie fans go crazy. But my point is, there's a man who I've always hated his guts. Highly just heralded head coach. I hated the fact that he benched Carmelo and LeBron and D Wade in the Olympics. He may be part of the reason why the Detroit Pistons never hired or never drafted Carmelo Anthony in the first place and went for Darko because he wanted probably to tell him what to do. Not fooled by your shenanigans. But Larry Brown deserves so much credit for having the balls to say to everybody, to his team, to Allen Iverson himself, yo, we're going to move you to the two guard because you're not going to get off the ball, and it makes no sense. You're going to get on the ball, back on the ball eventually, but we still got to run these plays for you. You know, the Iverson cut, we mentioned it the other day, is famous. Like, it's really just a horns play, and they ran it for him so many times that it became his thing. So I went on that wild rant to promote ourselves, of course, AllBall. And just to, when I have realizations like that, I think I'm going to start, you know, just going on camera and talking to y'all about it, because maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you care, maybe you don't. But it was a thought that I had that was interesting, because why are teams, coaches, players reluctant to call these guys two guards? Does it take them off the ball? Does it take them off the responsibility? Because Steph Curry's still the point guard who we see Draymond Green running the offense plenty of times. We saw Brunson do it last year with iHeart there, like we said. Trying to think of another player in that scenario also, because LeBron he would bring the ball up, but I always hated the way he stopped the ball. I was rewatching some of the 2007 championship, and just LeBron start, because he got better at shooting and a little bit quicker making decisions, and then he had better teams. It still used to piss me off how he would hold on to the ball. And it was like, okay, you can play every position. Cool. Well, why don't you go play the two right now? Give the ball up, sprint down court, run around, go off ball. I always scream that about LeBron. Where's your post game? And that's why when people say he's a point guard, I'm like, not really. He can play a point guard, but he's what Joker is what I thought LeBron, I imagine LeBron to be at 6'8", 6'9". And that could, if he would have been that, that's some next level shit, right? Because Magic was Magic, but LeBron would have been some other shit if he played at the speed that Magic played with that point guard. Nah, that shit would have been crazy. That would have been crazy. And we saw flashes of it, don't get me wrong. But I digress. Iverson is the second most influential player of my lifetime. And it has everything to do with basketball. It has nothing to do with culture. It has nothing to do with it. All that stuff was a byproduct of him moving to the two guard and saying, yo, I'm really like Mike, but I got mad swag. And I look like I'm on a corner. And I look like I'm in a club. And he was that much of a force, but that doesn't happen without Larry Brown. You guys think I hate Tibbs? I hate Larry Brown more than Tom Thibodeau, man. And he wasn't even all. Actually, he was like, what am I talking about? That's probably why I hate him even more. How could I forget that? Why did he move Steph to the 2 guard then? All right, man. I'm done. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. I will put the next rehab thing on, but do that some other. Oh, I have to do it because then when I edit it, it's easier. So pardon me. Knicks Rehab. Knicks Rehab, y'all. Of course, you know who I am. Tomorrow might be more free flowing. Fabian Tendrell. Is that who said it? I think it was. Oh yeah, Tendrell, you said it. Free flowing Fabian. Appreciate that, man. Halliburton is a playmaker, not a point guard. Wrong. How is he not a point guard? He's one of the only point guards in the NBA. Big Flea in the comments. I ain't shouting him out, man. I'm gonna text him later. Good night, Tori. RP. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. When I say good night to y'all, it feels like you ever read that book to your kids? Good night, moon. Good night, stars. All right, I'm rambling. I'm out of here, good folks. Michael James, appreciate you as always. Monkey Wrench in the building. I'll let y'all know. AllBall TV. They scared, but I'm not. They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.